it's Kendra and Jenni. We are into January 2022 now, so this is the beginning of our season 3. So it would be episode 1, season 3.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're doing this again right before a PHP meeting. I think we did that last time. So again, we're going to try to make this a quick one. So we're doing something a little different this year. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Hold on. We had a meeting before this. We're on a different page. Anyway, so, you know, when we first started this podcast 2 years ago, it was the start of this whole pandemic. And here we are into our 3rd year, and it's still ongoing. But we're tired. We're tired of the narrative. So we want to talk about, you know, we're always talking about empowerment. So we want to talk about creating. So anytime you're creating, you are empowered, and you're focusing on making something rather than focusing on the narrative when you're just spinning your wheels.
So basically, we feel like we've given a ton of information on what you need to do to know what's going on, how to make choices, how to feel like you're still in control of things. So if you have not listened to those and that's what you're looking for, just go back and listen to those episodes. They are definitely still relevant now.
Right.
But we want to kind of move into the new year on a positive note with creating and empowering. So we're not going to focus so much on everything that's going on, because at this point, everyone should be aware of it.
Right. I am to the point where I feel like, you know, 2 years in, if you haven't figured out what's going on, then I don't know what to tell you. So it's definitely still going. And I also feel like right now, like I feel the energy is really positive. Like we're moving into something exciting and positive, but I also feel like it's, you know, when you go down a roller coaster and you're like down and around the corner and up and everything is woo-woo. So it's like, oh, there's a good win. Oh no, there's something bad. And you're just going round and round. I kind of feel like that's where we are. So if you focus on solutions, basically is what this is, then all of that can be going on and you're still building what you want to happen, because we are going to get to that. So that's what we're focusing on. So we're this is just kind of going to be a general overview podcast. We will have some steps that you can work on, you know, ideas. But then it's kind of going to be a series, we decided, of podcasts. So then our next one will go in a little more in depth and more of a specific
on one of the topics we're going to talk about. So we're going to try to kind of at the end of the next couple episodes give you a challenge to take an action. So like an action item, challenge you to implement that, and then we'll do that at the end of the next couple, maybe a bunch of episodes. See how it goes. So we're just going to kind of go over everything on this one, and we'll go into detail on each topic.
Right.
Most likely.
So what I have, this is what I have written down. So just what we just talked about as we're stepping into 2022, focus on solutions and being a creator. You can even write down, I am a creator, and think about what that means. If you make a decision on something, that is also creating. A decision is action, and that's like the first step into creating something or creating the life you want, or, you know, whatever that is. And if you think you're creating, that's action. So we talk about I wrote this down too, in our program all the time, we're always talking about, we give you the tools, we give you the knowledge, but without that action, that's the only thing there is missing to make you successful. You have to take action. So this is the actions to have a successful year.
Anyone can be a creator. In fact, everyone is a creator at some point throughout their day, each day.
Right.
And everyone is an influencer. So these aren't just like social media. Be a creator and an influencer. Think about that. Like she said, every time you make a decision, you're creating an action behind that. You create dinner. You create your outfit. You create your attitude. And you influence everyone around you by those things that you're creating. So just think of it that way.
Yeah. And just on a side note, if you think about, so, you know, everyone talks about God being the creator, right? I don't know why I'm coming back to this on the podcast again, but, you know, that's just kind of something that's universal thought. But one thing that sets humans apart from all other life forms is that we have the ability to create. Yes. We're really the only, that we're the only life form that has the ability to intentionally create. And every single second of every day you're constantly creating. And people don't think about that,
Right.
like what you said. So our creator exercises, our empowering exercises. One, just turn off the news.
Yes.
Simple step, turn off the news. We've said this before, you do need to be aware of what's going on. Or just the current narrative that other people are listening to so that you can just know what other people believe is going on. That's good, but don't stay there because otherwise you're just spinning your wheels and there's no action. You're not moving anywhere.
Like if you feel like you're getting no information at all, then set aside like a specific time where that's what you're going to do. It's just kind of as an so
Did that turn us off?
Oh, I paused. Sorry,
Okay.
we had a little blip with our new software there. So
hopefully we're still on the same line.
yes, I think it is. So what were we talking about?
I don't know. Oh, just turning off the news.
Okay, so if you feel like you need to set aside a very specific time during your week or every 2 weeks, whatever, that you're going to look at news and what's going on, and you're going to do it like from an observation standpoint. So it's not just constantly bombarding your brain without really processing it, because that can put your brain into fight or flight. It sees all these danger,
Right.
and now you're trying to be safe, and now it's on the lookout, and that's kind of spirals you down into those negative emotions and vibrations.
Right. Yeah. So that's a big one. And even if it's the news, like I feel like my news is coming from good sources. I don't watch mainstream media at all. And I feel like what I'm getting is probably truly what's going on, that kind of thing. But it's still the news, still the narrative. It's going on and on and on. So even if it's that, just step away from it. Something else you can do is, breath work. That's a big one. I'm sure that we've talked about this before, but making sure you're breathing through your abdomen. You can think about what you're breathing in. You breathe in love, breathe out peace, breathe in knowledge, breathe out whatever is not serving you, whatever you need to do. But that really can help release whatever that is. So practice that every day, several times a day, just to, again, get you out of that fight or flight mode and into the, you balance out your parasympathetic and your sympathetic.
Right. And if you are really having it's good that it pauses. Okay, another blip.
Sorry about that.
So if you are having a lot of anxiety or that type of things, you can find specific breath patterns to bring that down, but just general deep breathing with positive thoughts is good for just bringing up your mood, and it's really
right. And you can't be a creator if you're in fight or flight mode.
Correct.
You're running from the tiger. I always use that example. Fight or flight is your emergency response. So if you're running from the tiger, you're not going to stop to create this wonderful reality. So you have to get out of that. So that's a good step to help you bring yourself out of that. Grounding is huge. Just getting outside, standing on the ground in your bare feet, even in the winter, if you just do that just for a minute, super hard to do. But and if you can't, if it's way too cold, just focusing on a plant in your house or something like that, it will actually bring you down and ground you.
Right.
So
yeah, I think we had a whole podcast back in season 1 about grounding and nature and things you can do to bring them inside and that kind of stuff.
But that is huge, and again, it will relax you and get you back in that space where you need to be. And that connection to nature is always huge, and especially with creating, because that's our natural state. Meditation, that's a good one. For some people, we've noticed if you are kind of more in that fight or flight mode, it's hard to just relax and meditate and let everything go. So some people, meditating is easier for them, maybe if you're out on a walk and you're just looking at the trees, or you're looking, you're not really thinking about anything, but you're moving. That helps a lot of people.
And if you don't know if you're in fight or flight, if that's not something that you're aware of, if you have a hard time sitting and clearing your thoughts without fidgeting or doing, then that's probably you. So it's perfectly fine to have that kind of repetitive physical movement to help you get to that space.
Right. And even just getting rid of all electronics around you, just being, like just be. And then if you just be, it's amazing how you become more in tune with your, you know, the universe and and that sort of thing, and with your mind and what's coming in. Because if there's constant stimulation, you know, there's the TV on, there's your phone, there's the things. You can't just really just be, and that's really what meditating is in the first place. Mind mapping and a vision board. We talk about this a lot. We have it in our the beginning of our programs and our mindset program if you've ever worked with us. But that's really important to figure out where you want to go, your goals, and how you're going to get there.
Yes.
So
plan is always important, because then when you're not thinking or not focusing, your mind or your brain still has those goals there. So it can help move towards those even when you're not thinking about them. So to have a plan and have a goal and have a vision, it helps you kind of figure out your path, but it also helps your subconscious move you towards that throughout every decision making that you're doing.
Right. Yeah. And so for me, I really like the vision board because I can see it. But the mind mapping works really great too. And if you think about, like, I probably used this example before, but if you're going on a vacation, I know I've used this before, I've heard myself say this, but if you're going somewhere, you have to know where you're going, and then you have to know how you're going to get there.
Right. And if you are running to the store, even though you're not going for vacation things, you might think, oh, wait, I need to pick this up for vacation, because you have that plan in there. So it works the same.
Right. Yeah. And it also gets you in that mindset of, you know, the way you bring things to you or create your reality is if you can feel it, like you're excited, you have faith it's going to happen, you feel this desire. So if you're going on vacation, you're excited about it, you know where you're going, you can picture yourself there, what you're going to be doing, you know, you can kind of put you into that mental role, and that helps you get there. So anything you're creating in your day.
Vacation.
I know, I wish. That sounds lovely. So number 9 that I have written down is, this is where you can actually, you know, take some time to yourself and really think about this. What are you creating for your personal life? What do you want? We're still at that point where a lot of people are choosing to give up their jobs because of, you know, mandates or whatever going through, different reasons, whatever's going on, your jobs, you know, whatever it might be. But what do you want for your personal life? What do you want your goals to be? Like, where do you want to be in 6 months? Where do you want to be at the end of the year? But really take the time to think about that and start creating what you want.
Yeah.
Even if it seems unattainable, just whatever you want. Sky's the limit. And you can always change that too.
Right.
You know,
check in with yourself.
Right.
Tweak and change.
Right. And every day just focus on I was going to say also for the world. I think that's important right now because people are so, you know, kind of afraid of what's coming down the road, or they feel helpless or whatever. Think about what you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, don't let somebody else dictate how it's going to be. You may feel like you don't have a control of it, but you still do. So think about what you want it to be and write these things down.
Yeah, and you can even tie like your personal goals for personal, career, family, service, whatever those are, in how that fits into your vision for the world and how it's going to, you know, make that
right or affect the world.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like we're always saying that if you literally did everything that we say in our program, it would also fix all the climate change and all of those issues if you really lived that way. So there really is so much you can do with how you create your day every day or create the life you want that really affects the world at large too. And just remember too that thoughts are energy. Thoughts are real. Like once you have a thought, it's out there. It's something real. You can't see it, but it is there, and you
can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Right. Exactly. So think about that. And then I just wrote down that this is a good practice, just every day to focus on these things and this goes back to the mind mapping and the vision board, all of it. Just spend 15 minutes a day really focusing on it. And so, like, especially in the morning when you first wake up and right before you go to bed, because that's where your subconscious mind kind of opens up. If you write down, did you bring the 6 steps?
Yes, it's not super conveniently close.
Oh, jump over and grab it. Yeah, okay. We were going to go over these 6 steps with you. I know I've mentioned the book, Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, but it's not just about money. It's about just prosperity and making the life you want. But these are good 6 steps that you can write down what you want, and then every day, like I said, in the morning and before you go to bed, read this out loud. So that's important. That's an important piece of this. It's not only writing it down, but actually reading this out loud every day, and actually feeling it. The desire and the faith, like I talked about. Okay, so here are the 6 steps. Number 1. So if you don't have a pen and you don't have time to write these down, go back and listen to these and actually write these down. These are simple, but really effective for anything. So number 1 is determine what you want to achieve or accomplish. That's what we were talking about. Decide what your goal is, or your idea, your dream, what you want to happen. The goal must be specific enough that you know when you have achieved it. And it must also be important that you're emotionally engaged in achieving this goal. So that's where that desire comes in.
Right. So don't make it something like, I want to like my job better. Like, that's really big. You need like a specific, I want to leave the job I'm in or change the job I'm in at the place I'm working by XYZ date. Like, have it specific.
Yeah. And I want to, like, if you want a certain salary, or you want to become an entrepreneur and make a certain amount of money, or whatever you want with it, you want the time. I want to work part-time hours, but be able to do XYZ, write all those details down. Details are important. Okay, number 2, decide what you are willing or need to give in return for what you desire. Nothing worthwhile comes to you without some price. And what they mean is, I just started reading another really good book. It's on that, I should have brought it. It's kind of like the Napoleon Hill book, but it's, what's his name? Waddles is his last name, Waddles. Okay. I think he wrote it in 1910, but it's along the same lines. I mean, it's the same thing about thinking, creating, but it's just a little bit different perspective. Yeah. And I really like it. It's just a thin little book, but it's really good. But anyway, like what he was saying in that's what got me thinking about that, is that whatever it is that you want to make sure that the value you give is even bigger than what you are gaining by it. So what you're giving with this is more even than you get back.
Right. And think about, you can't just say, I want a higher salary. You have to say, what are you going to do to get that? Are you going to take on more responsibility? Are you going to put together, an outline of what you've done in the past? Are you going to, you have to put something in to get something out. You can't just make the goal and then think about it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, number 3 is set a specific date when you want to achieve your goal. That's like what Jenni was talking about. That's just another detail. Plus, it helps you get in gear. And because another thing is, a wish or a prayer, something like that, a lot of times people are praying all the time. Well, prayer is very powerful, but it also, I think in the sense that a lot of people pray or wish or hope, there's no action in any of those words. So, the universe wants to give you what you want, or God or whatever, but they need help. You need to be doing the work too. That you can't just sit and say, well, I want $1 million and to be healthy, and then just sit there. And while you're waiting, eat your Cheetos and watch TV. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. So
you have to be willing to put in the work.
Right. So having a date helps you to.
Also, the human mind tends to not prioritize things that don't have a deadline. So that's why people are, goals work and deadlines work, because if your brain says, we have to do that thing, but there's no date to it, it'll prioritize the things that you do have dates to ahead of that.
Right. Yeah. Number 4 is to start to develop your plan begin at once, whether you're ready or not. That's a big one. Good enough is good enough.
Yes, jump in.
Right. So that's kind of what we were talking about. Number 5 is write a clear and concise statement of what you want, when you want it, what you are willing to give, and the steps you plan to take to achieve the goal. So that's what we were saying.
Basically, the first steps that you figured out, just write them in a grammatically correct format.
Right. Right. And that's what we were saying. Do that. So that's step number 5. That's the most important.
Mm-hmm.
And then read that every morning. Read that before you go to bed.
Isn't that the next step?
Maybe. Yes, it is. So number 6, read the statement aloud with emotion, a minimum 2 times a day. Okay, exactly what I was saying.
Yes.
First thing in the morning, right before you go to sleep. This is the most important step of the process. So in your mind, visualize that you have this already, that you've already achieved your goal. You know, like I was saying earlier, do this as often as you can throughout the day, even if it's just for a few minutes. What is that quote? What your subconscious impresses. No, I can't remember. Never mind. But the idea is that if you keep this practice up, your subconscious mind believes that you already have it.
Yes.
And puts you.
I don't know what the specific quote that you're talking about, but there's so many sayings that mean that. Like fake it till you make it. Like pretend you're doing dress for the job you want. Like all of these things. It's telling you to put your mind like you already have something and then it will come to you.
Yes. Yeah. And don't focus on, well, how am I going to get that, so much as what you want. And then you just start doing what you need to do and it will happen. Anyway, that's a really good exercise.
Yes.
Was that it?
Yes. So I think that was the one that we want people to do. So we're challenging you to go through those 6 steps and actually set that up. That's your first step towards empowerment. And next podcast, we will talk about one of the other action items and go into more detail on how you can do those.
Yeah. And I had written down, so the other thing where you really are empowered is when you focus on what you have control over. I'm sure we've talked about that before. If you focus, it's kind of like letting the news go. If you focus on what's out of your control, it's disempowering, it's stressful, gets you in that fight or flight mode. If you focus on what you have control over, that is in your control, that's where you need to be. So anyway, next time we'll talk about lifestyle, diet, and environment where you have control. Because that's really, you're either in disease mode or health. This is what we teach. So,
and you want to be in optimal health and wellness in order to build on that. Because if you're looking for all these amazing things and you're not healthy, well, happy, then those amazing things are going to be really hard to get to.
Right. Or you can't even think about them, really. I mean, we see that all the time with people. They can't even envision this amazing life or what they could have because they just feel so bad. So you really have to get yourself healthy, like Jenni said. So next time, we will help you focus on all the things that you really do have control over. And I think that was all we had for today.
Yes. So happy 2022 to everyone, and look out for season 3, episode 2.
Yes. Yes. And stay positive and thinking about solutions moving forward. That's the main thing. Solutions and empowerment.